Rev your engines and fasten your seatbelts. It's time for Thunder Talk with Dan Bailey, keeping you up to date on everything going on this season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Now, here's your host, Dan Bailey.
Welcome back, race fans, to another edition of Thunder Talk. The Thunder may have been booming late last week, but at least we got one of those nights in of that two-night Memorial Day special at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. The Friday evening program was, I don't think I'm overusing this word, amazing, phenomenal. It was quite an event. The crowd was amazing. The pits were full, one of the largest car counts we've had, with only 4 divisions. The late models put on a great show. The US MTS Stars and Cars did, and the local racers did as well. But believe it or not, we've got something just as exciting coming up this Friday night, because for the first time in quite a while, our regular divisions that normally compete at Mississippi Thunder Speedway are going to be joined by super stock racers. That's right, we haven't seen super stocks at Mississippi Thunder Speedway for quite a while, and to join us this week on Thunder Talk to talk all about what the super stock program is going to bring to the track this coming Friday night is super stock ace Brandon Duellman. Brandon, first of all, welcome to Thunder Talk.
Hey, Dan, thank you.
Well, you know, it has been a while since you or anyone driving a super stock has been to Mississippi Thunder Speedway when there is a window of, a few years like we have here between a prior visit and an upcoming visit. What's your game plan coming into a one-off Friday night special like this?
Well, I can tell you from a setup standpoint, our car currently is nowhere near what it used to be 3-4 years ago when we last ran there. We're probably just going to kind of go with what we normally run at Deer Creek for the most part. The tracks are fairly similar now, with MTS being a little bit higher banking. I think it's a little bit closer to Deer Creek in banking-wise, so it should probably feel pretty close to the same.
Do you yourself feel like you are ready? Have you been in the car at all yet this year? Have you been able to get a super stock race in, or how long has it been for you to be strapped into that race car?
I haven't been in the car yet since September. We're still kind of finishing the car. We just have a couple of minor touches left to do. Not much, but I'll still be ready. Typically, most of the time when I go out there the first night of the year, you just kind of put the foot down and hope it sticks, and then the roast pretty much breaks off in the first corner.
Now, you, of course, are driving a dirt dueler, and I bring that up because it's a little different. At Mississippi Thunder Speedway, we race fans hear a lot about dirt duelers because they seem to be, at least right now, the car of choice, the successful car of choice in the B-Mod division. The dirt dueler B-Mods do very well at Mississippi Thunder Speedway and other tracks that they visit as well. And it seems like there's a never-ending supply of haulers coming into the track with dirt dueler B-Mods. But you, of course, are in a super stock, still a dirt dueler. It's the same but different. What is different between a dirt dueler B-Mod and a dirt dueler super stock?
Some of the differences would be the B-Mods have to have what's called a frame rail. So they have a dirt race car has a stock chassis underneath it as kind of the base of it. And all the dirt duelers are Ford frames compared to 99% of other chassis out there are Chevys. So that's kind of one of the main differences that a dirt dueler has, at least compared to the competitors. And then between a super stock and the B-Mods have stock frame rail still on them, where the super stocks it's not required, so we chop that off. And then the front stub is relatively shorter. Another major difference is that our engine is actually farther forward in the super stock class, just as per the rules for WISSOTA. And also our cars are weighing 2,800 pounds instead of the 2,450 or 2,500 for the B-Mods.
Now, there's been a lot of success with those dirt dueler B-Mods. When Les Duellman Racing builds a dirt dueler super stock, there are a handful of super stocks out there. Not many, but there are a few dirt dueler super stocks out there. Is the knowledge and the engineering and the geometry that's been so successful with those B-Mods, is that transferred directly into the super stocks, or are these super stocks just a whole new ball game, a whole new thought process and planning process to build these dirt dueler super stock chassis?
They are fairly close setup-wise. All the front-end geometry and everything is exactly the same. Some of the rear-end geometry is a little bit different as per rules for what super stocks can run versus what a B-Mod can run. We slowly learn. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And there's about a half dozen dirt dueler super stocks out there throughout Minnesota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So there's not many of them, and typically ours being the house car here, we're always experimenting, always trying something new. So sometimes I'm pretty good, and sometimes we're not so good.
I was thinking as you were telling me that since your car is the quote-unquote house car, that it might be a little different. I was wondering how much difference there might be between your specific chassis that you're going to be driving and those other 5 or 6 dirt duelers that are out there. Are they, and you had just mentioned that there might be some differences. Are they substantial differences, or are they, minor things that you might be trying to see if this might help a little bit? Or sometimes do you climb in the car and it's way different than some of the other dirt duelers out there?
From this car that I have currently, from last year at least, for racing season, we were kind of almost way out in left field compared to what we normally have been. We're swinging for the fences with what we're trying to do with it. And otherwise, from what we also always usually ran, it's pretty much near identical to what we give our customers. We never really keep anything from them. There's nothing to benefit from that at all.
So we get to see you guys with your super stocks this Friday night, but there's a whole lot, well, knock on wood, there's a whole lot more racing for the super stock class coming up through the remainder of 2020. I know everything is still kind of up in the air, but have you started to chart out your season for 2020?
Our plan is to at least try to run Deer Creek every week, and as long as that's going fairly well, we'll continue that if, say, we had a bad night, especially with the short season, because we're going to actually try for points at Deer Creek, try to win points there. So if everything's going well, we'll continue to race there every Saturday night until their season ends. Say if we have a bad night, then we might say, let's try to go somewhere else. Let's start traveling a little bit. We might go to northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota for a weekend, do a little Friday, Saturday up north, maybe change it up, just because it's a little bit strenuous with me actually not living in Winona. I live in Rochester, and my car is here in Winona, so we're constantly trying to come over and help while also working a full-time job in Rochester.
And what about the sheet metal on the side of that car? Dirt Dueler never seems to show up with just sheet metal. There are always some graphics of some great local and area businesses who are helping out. Who's helping out Brandon Duellman with that Dirt Dueler house car this year?
Yeah, well, we have a bunch of sponsors. We got some sponsors that have been with me since I started racing, and then have also kind of been helping my dad when he was still racing. We got Minnesota State College South Beat. Their transportation and trade programs have been with me since the start of my racing, way back. And then we also have MCI Credit Card Processing by Carl Brunholtzel. He's also kind of been with me since the very beginning. Recently, we actually picked up Limb Lab of Rochester, which is where I work. It's a prosthetic company, and they've agreed to help sponsor the race car. They find it awesome that I'm able to do this. Also, recently, as of last year, we picked up Med City Collision. The Wasmans have helped me a lot out over the past year or so with kind of keeping our program up. This year, we got Lewiston Auto coming on board, and they're going to be a great sponsor, and look forward to working with them. Another one of my sponsors from the very beginning is Elmer's Auto and Toy Museum in Fountain City. That used to be run by my grandpa, and he always kind of helped us out. He always helped my dad out with racing, and he's been involved with racing since a long time ago. We also have Winona Signs and Designs, and we also have soon-to-be RaceLeader.com. And I also got to give a big thanks out to my dad and Adam, who always kind of help on the car, especially while I'm living in Rochester.
All right, well, let me put you up against the wall here. If you were to drop a couple of names from the Superstock division, who are the guys or gals that you feel like you're going to have to beat if you're going to be a one-time feature winner this Friday night with the Superstock Special at Mississippi Thunder Speedway?
The first one that comes to mind is Tommy Richard. He was always fast running at Fountain City, and he still kind of raced her on and off with the B-Mod, so he has more racing experience there. Some supers have gone away. So he'll probably be the big competitor. I have a feeling Jeff Brower will probably be coming, and he'll definitely be a big competitor. He always is, racing against me. Dan Wasalski, who actually has one of our Dirt Dueler cars in Winona, will probably be there, and he should be pretty fast as well. From up north, I might expect to see Shane Sabraski or Dave Mons even come down. They're always fighting in the top 5 for national points every year. And I get another couple of northern guys from up there that I know fairly well that are pretty quick.
Well, you will definitely have your work cut out for you this Friday night at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. The final question that I have for you, coming to the track this Friday night, how much help is your dad's past experience? how much is he able to add to your chances of being a feature winner this Friday night?
Well, most of the setup stuff is coming out of his head. So basically all of it, I guess. But I mean, the driving experience, I know the super stock way better than he does. I've raced a couple more laps in it than he has. Granted, he has raced a couple thousand more laps than I have over the years. I mean, I'll probably talk to a couple of our dirt dueler boys before we start, kind of ask them about what are some of the lines to run around the track. Maybe give Parker Hale a good little chat, or Taylor Scouty a little bit.
Well, this Friday night, Brandon Duellman, his number 0 LDR Dirt Dueler Superstock, and potentially a host of many, many more competitors from that Superstock division will be invading Mississippi Thunder Speedway for possibly a one-off visit for the 2020 season at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. If you're a race fan of Superstock racing, this Friday night is your time to see him in action on the Big Third Mile at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Brandon, thank you very much for joining us this week on Thunder Talk. Best of luck this Friday night.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That was Thunder Talk, keeping you up to date on everything going on at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. Thunder Talk is powered by Arcadia Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
You ever notice that when you're on a fishing trip, you drive your boat all the way to the other side of the lake because you think that's where the best fishing is? And the people staying at the cabins on that side of the lake, well, they come and fish where your cabin is. You don't have to drive a long ways to catch the big fish. And at Arcadia Motors, you don't have to drive a long ways to get the best deal on a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram truck. The best deals are right in the bay next to your cabin. Take the short, scenic drive to Arcadia Motors. ArcadiaDodge.com.